Gomoll. I'm sure almost everybody here knows who she is, but for those of you who don't, we're really privileged to have her here. She's a very accomplished person.
But not so good with mechanical things.
First of all, she's the queen of points, so she's at the top of Google for queenofpoints.com, and maybe a few other choice keywords, which she's going to talk about. Really tracking the points that she's doing in Weight Watchers and tracking her progress. She's the chief schemer of Jewel Says, which is her blog related to technology, design, marketing, etc. She was the CEO and founder of Launchpad Co-working, right? And she also ran Go Media, that was sold to Excite back in the late 90s, so for an undisclosed sum. And she's got several superpowers. She's a trend spotter, momentum creator. She's a visionary leader of multidisciplinary, high-functioning teams, and she's a driven community builder.
This is off my resume, so.
You don't introduce yourself that way.
I don't introduce myself.
How do you introduce yourself?
Oh, you did fine. You did fine. I rarely talk about superpowers when I'm, introducing myself. Okay.
So, did you have any opening remarks that you wanted to say before we start the questions?
Well, it was great because I got to talk to a few of you before. It seems like what I'm hearing a lot of people want is more traction on their blog, more traffic, more comments, more interactions, and I've in the past 5 or 6 years, I've done lots of blogs for people, for companies, for individuals, for very micro businesses, one-person businesses, like a lot of us are. And I've just learned a ton. Maybe we can get them to shut the music off?
Yeah, that's what I was close that power there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the door would be good,
yeah. So with each site I did, blog or website, whatever, each one I learned a lot of stuff. And Queen of Points is my most recent blog. I only started it a couple of months ago, and I like to say I SEO'd the shit out of it. And as a result, even when I only had probably 10 recipes up, I was getting on the front page of Google for things like Weight Watchers Points Plus recipes. And there I was. Sometimes I'm even above Weight Watchers. And that's some of that is because I did it right, and much of it is because they're doing it wrong, and I'm capitalizing on it. But I am happy to entertain any and all questions about that blog, about your blogs, about anything you heard Fernando talk about. I love being the expert, pretending to be the expert, sometimes succeeding. Hey. I am very careful to not say I'm not affiliated with Weight Watchers. I talk about Weight Watchers in a generic sense. I don't always capitalize it. Like, I happen to be a Weight Watcher. I'm watching my weight. I'm also trying to be really nice to them. I point to them. I talk about how wonderful they are. I encourage people to go to the meetings. And I haven't had any trouble. And I've talked to people locally. I haven't talked to them nationally yet. The other thing I did is, Queen of Points certainly is not something they would trademark, but one of the reasons I'm getting great SEO is I bought a bunch of URLs and this is where they fell over. They did not do their homework. I bought Weight Watchers Points Plus Recipes.com, Weight Watchers Tips.com. I bought like 8 or 9 domains with Weight Watchers in them. I don't have any content on them. I just forward those URLs to Queen of Points. But that's one of the things I'm learning is when you're doing strategy to get people to come to your site, the first place to start is, well, how do they find you? What are they searching on? Get in their head, figure out what they're looking at, and it's not only use those keywords for SEO, but buy the domain. If you think people are, like Christine, if you think people are searching for PR, tech PR in Austin, buy techprinAustin.com and send it to your site. You don't have to put content on it. You just have to.
How much is it to buy every time?
It's like $10 a year.
$9.99.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's worth it, for sure. Yeah.
Only top-level domains. You recommend go with like the UCO?
It depends on what you're doing. I mean, certainly a lot of the newer companies that are out there that are more app-based, Oh, now I'm getting a tight shot of my rack. Thank you. Some of the app-based, like Bitly, right? It's an app, and they can get away with it. I think if you're trying to be commercial on a more broad level, .com is still, for now anyway, the best way to go.
I guess how do you think like the search engines look at in terms of importance?
In terms of importance, the .com, it's some of it is the .com is always going to be higher, but it's also about the age of the domain. So like a really, really old .net is probably going to rank higher than a brand new .com. So it's that too.
Julie, I think this is a fascinating topic because I think a lot of us are trying to optimize our own blogs and websites for SEO. Well, you don't want to pay an SEO firm to do it. And
right.
so I'd kind of like to know if you could boil down your SEO philosophy into to a good little.
Well, it's sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the number one is common sense. Like, have good content. Think about the keywords and the phrases that people are looking for, but don't make them the basis of your content. Sprinkle them in. Like when you get a chance, when you say PR in an article, say Austin PR. Things like that. If you make it all buzzwords and keywords, then you end up with meaningless content, and no one's going to read it, right? So good content. And for me, a really important thing is a good category strategy and a good title tagging strategy. So, for example, let me grab your coaster. I'm going to use Queen of Points as an example because it was really having the good fortune to, my knowledge hit just the right point at the same time I was doing this new blog, and I got to start from scratch. It's much easier to do it from scratch than to redo. I did a lot of keyword research. I went to the Google keyword tool, and I searched on all the things the categories that I would be blogging about. And for example, I was like, well, I know I use a slow cooker a lot. So I did a slow cooker, a crock pot, and I looked like, well, how many people search on crock pot versus how many people search on slow cooker? Well, slow cooker was way bigger, like by a multitude of 6 or 7 times. So my category is slow cooker. But what I name the category, what the URL is, it shows up as, on my blog, along with breakfast, lunch, dinner, etc. Over here it says slow cooker. But if you go to that category, the URL is slow cooker recipes, and some of them even have Weight Watchers on it. So it's another opportunity to add those keywords into a URL. Keywords in a URL are better than anything else you can do. And you can, the title of your post, the title of your category is not what the URL has to be. Okay? Right. So, and I do this in WordPress, but I'm sure you can do it in others. For example, I posted a pizza recipe. Mozzarella, spinach, something pizza, and with 7 points. And that's all good SEO, that's a good title. But I edit the URL to say recipe dash mozzarella, pizza, spinach, etc. Because people searching for recipes and weight is huge, and adding that to the URL bumps me up.
I don't even know what you mean.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So, did you guys see the story about the AOL insider who quit, the AOL blogger who quit? They pay him like $35,000 a year to write 10 stories a day, and the content is meaningless, literally on AOL. He did an insider say what they did, and like somebody at AOL ran an algorithm. The perfect headline, the perfect SEO headline was Paris Hilton drops underpants in Paris. Right. In France, sorry, Paris Hilton. And so they can put that in the headline, and that appears in the URL. But the story can be about
anything.
About a weekend.
Or in Iraq. Yeah.
Right. So so when you
So the title of your post becomes part of your URL every time.
Well, that's the default. Right. And so the title becomes the default URL. Slug. But you can also edit that. Like my titles are in the URL. I just add the word recipe before every single one.
And you do that in the little yellow highlight?
In the yellow, edit.
Oh.
Yep.
You gotta have permalinks.
Yeah, you do. You do. Yeah, you have to have canonical links. In other words, you don't want to have URLs that are yourdomain.com/. P equals 1356. You want it to be slash the name of the post or slash category, date, etc. post. And you do. You have that.
Okay, so, for example, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are there like site builders that are better at SEO than WordPress?
You know, Austin's a big WordPress town, and I can tell you that WordPress is awesome at SEO. I'm pretty sure Blogger's not as good, which is kind of ironic given that it's owned by Google. And I often use a theme within WordPress called Thesis that has all sorts of really great SEO stuff built in. But a lot of this is, I mean, like when you've got your own domain, it being WordPress isn't really that much of an issue. What you want to look for is whatever platform that lets you edit the title tag of every page and every post, and insert a meta description and all things like that. And pretty much most of them have that now. So I don't know that. Do you have thoughts on that as to whether WordPress is inherently better at SEO than other?
I want to control everything.
Right.
I don't want to give it up to Postgres or Blogger or whatever.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, some of those platforms are great because they get you up and running without screwing around with WordPress.
Right.
If you're a novice, but yeah.
Yeah. So.
You got a question over there.
Okay.
Actually, I was going to talk to that. The one thing that makes Joomla so much less effective for SEO than WordPress is the refresh rate. You know, they've never gone in. They went on these tours there for 2 or 3 years, having such a great platform, and it is a great platform, but the refresh rates are really slow, and that's a huge part of it.
Are you talking about page? Are you talking about page speed?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So until Joomla fixes that,
and page speed is huge for Google. Like if you have a slow site, you can have all the great content in the world, and you're going to have trouble getting good ratings.
you need a freaking engineering degree.
Pardon me?
You need a freaking engineering degree.
And some of us with them don't.
There's Google has a speed test tool in their WordPress, in their webmaster tools, and you add a little line of code and it'll give you a rating, and it's amazing because when the first time it came out, it was before they have their revamped speed test. I said, okay, well check my site for speed, and I was rated like 80 out of 100. I'm like, okay, and then I'd heard about a couple of plugins, WP Minify, and one other one that sort of takes all those files in the background, and rather than everyone having to call every file every time they visit your site, it kind of puts it in a group and just feeds that one. I installed that, I went back into the speed test, and I had a 93. It was just like, WP-Minify. Minify. N. Like mini skirt, Minify. Like mini skirt, you know?
You mentioned others doing it wrong. And it's probably like very easy to do something wrong.
It is.
And not realize it. What do you mean by it?
Well, I mean, in the case of Weight Watchers, there's a couple things. One is that they don't. It's a crime that they don't own those domains. And honestly, if they came to me and said, you know, we should really have those domains, I'd probably give them to them. They should have those domains. I mean, it's their brand.
So not getting the domains is the basic.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the first things you got to do. And the other thing that Weight Watchers, they have a problem that I think a lot of established sites have, in that they've had a website for 15 years. And they've built and built and built and built, and now it's just this. It is, and it's like there's some good stuff on top, but boy, when you really try to find something, it's slow and it's painful, and it's hard, and I sympathize. It's hard to do. It's much easier to do from scratch. But some of the classic things that people do wrong is they don't edit their title tags, right? They go like the about page is just domain.com about. And it's like, that's an opportunity for about PR in Austin, right? Every page, the title tag is what you see at the top of the window when you're looking at it in a browser. That title tag, you should pay a lot of attention to that.
That's what you see in the Google results.
Then, well, yes, and that's the other thing. It's like no, that's the custom title tag. I'm talking about the page title. Okay. The title tag. Am I using them? I'm not sure I'm using the right terminology. Title tag. Yeah.
What he's talking about is what shows up.
Is what shows up in the window. The custom title tag for WordPress users, is what you've got your post, and then below it you've got custom title tag, metadata, and meta tags. The custom title is what shows up when people find you in Google search results. It's not the URL, right? So I could have, you know, the pizza with mozzarella, spinach, and onions, 7 points, but I might make the custom tag, the custom title, delicious, healthy pizza for Weight Watchers. And when someone searches it on whatever and they happen to find that recipe, what shows up in the search results is that's the custom title tag, and the meta description is the custom description. If you don't put something custom in there, Google is just going to take the first few lines of your post. In my case, the first few lines are servings 4, level intermediate, points 8, not very compelling. So I put something more descriptive that may or may not exist in my post. So that's what shows up in the Google search results.
Isn't it with the fact that, like, with other than thesis that already has all that stuff built in, I think with most thesis themes, most WordPress themes, you got to install a plugin like All-in-One SEO.
All-in-One SEO Pack is the plugin. Some themes have this built in, some don't. All-in-One SEO Pack gives you the same stuff.
So with about, like you have your URL and then slash about, you would add to the about?
You would name that page. You would edit the slug to be about tapeworms as they relate to, right?
Okay, got it. So
Yeah.
not going to be just about.
Yeah.
Well, but wait.
Yeah, performs for us, great
The title will be. You're not telling us to change the permalink. There's a difference
Yeah.
between permalink and the slug.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the slug.
Yeah, the slug.
Yeah.
Once the page loads, up at the top of your browser it says about whatever, but
Right.
But the URL is still going to be yoursite.com/about.
About?
No, you can edit that.
I know, but
Okay.
most people will, like, I hate it when people don't have an about page.
Yeah.
I just go to a site, go /about, just see what they've got.
Yeah.
I see what you mean. Okay, okay.
Wait,
Yes.
At some point, can you define like these terms you're using? I don't know really what a slug is and the difference between metadata.
A slug is a URL-friendly version of the title. So it takes all the spaces out, converts them to dashes, takes all the apostrophes out, so that it looks, native, right?
Right. Okay. No, it's okay. And it's like, that's like categories. Eileen, categories have slugs too, right? So my category might be dinner, but my category slug is actually Weight Watchers dinner recipes.
With dashes in the top.
And that's why I'm on page 1 for Weight Watchers dinner recipes. I mean, it's, again though, I got to start from scratch. I didn't have to, I mean, if you're redoing this on a site, you're going to have to, you get stuck in the, you don't want the old URLs to go away. Because if people have linked to them, they'll be dead if you just change the URL. So you have to do redirects, and then that can get you bogged down. And
There's a really good plugin for redirects, by the way.
Easy redirect, or yeah, and lets you do 301 redirects, which tells 301 says this page lives here now permanently. That's it, and the user never sees it. They just go. Yeah.
Are there any special tricks for video?
In terms of embedding video on your site?
Just like it's getting people to get to actually see it. So when you search, whether it's parenting sites, you look up flowers, but it may not be one of the 2 videos that pops up on.
Right. Well, that's, you know, I don't do a lot of video, but from what I've read, one of the things, and this kind of surprised me, is that I'm hearing you need to put, because Google loves videos, but you need to put your videos in multiple places. So you put them on YouTube, you put them on Vimeo, Blip, all of the above, and tag them really well, title them really well. And that's the important stuff, is the tags and the titles and all that.
There's a new thing called Google Video Sitemap.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you install
Google
a plugin.
Video Sitemap.
Yeah, you install a plugin, and you tell it to run. Detect all the videos on your site.
On your site or on the Google channel?
WordPress. And then
Cool.
you run it, and it basically creates an RSS feed for all your videos, and you submit that to Google Web Apps Tools, and it will. It's sort of like.
It's like Sitemap, but for videos.
Yeah.
They have a sitemap for images now.
And yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
Oh.
Gaia was coming out. They have
Boston content marketing, WordPress plugins.
The other thing is name your video, just like images.
Yeah.
Right? So you're saying, you're talking, like, well, let's just take the tapeworms.
Yeah.
You know, so you had a video on greater Austin tapeworms, which I'm sure was just made up.
Not entirely.
Greater Austin, you know, tapeworm society or whatever with dashes. So once, and then if you put it in your site, the content, the words around the video get related to what the video is. So that helps us.
Excellent, thanks. Good to know. Good to know. And that's that. You bring up the thing about images. Images is another way to get.
Audio or Google audio. Sorry.
No, it's okay. You bring up a good point about images. That's another way to grab some SEO. Title your files what they are.
Yes.
Don't even consider having a picture without alt text.
Yeah, JPEG 1, JPEG 2.
No, yeah, none of that. Real names, good alternative text, and that's for, just so you know, that's for people who don't load images or people who use screen readers can read what those images are. And if people are like, oh, I'm sure I don't have any blind people reading my site. Well, Google's blind. So Google needs to see what those pictures are and get those keywords. And I'm also, as it turns out, captions are really good, and which makes me think I have to rethink using more captions, because for my main pictures on my site, I don't use captions, but I may change that. People do Google image searches. It's a great way into your site.
You got a question?
Yeah. Joe.
If you haven't done all these nice, wonderful things, and you're talking about the redirect, the easy redirect,
Yeah.
you have to do, and people bookmark, you have to worry about the images when you go back and change them all in it.
Not the alt. No.
You're going to be more
I think.
concerned about the slow.
Yeah. Yes. 301 redirects. You don't have to worry about the image names on those pages. All it's saying is you're giving the page a new URL and telling WordPress used to be here, now it's here.
Okay, and so if you don't change that, like you said, with redirect, you just keep saying, putting captions in and putting.
It's all adding alt text and adding captions is fine anytime. That won't mess anything up.
The 301 redirect says, I used to be here, now I'm here. So people will still go back here, and it'll just say bounce, and you'll end up here.
So do you do that like at the bottom where it says that?
There's a plugin.
No, you have to do that at the server level, but there's a plugin that will do that for you.
It's a plugin. Once you load it, it says old URL, new URL.
That's the easy redirect.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, something like that.
So do you?
Can you go a little louder, Joy?
Do you do the plug-in before you change all the names, or after?
Oh, the plugin is how you change all the
That's how
names.
you change it.
Because you can't do it without.
Like a basic.
Yeah, you need the plugin that will allow you to change URLs. Rasha.
Did you hear anything about if you have a video, it will help with your SEO if you transcribe whole?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Apparently,
Absolutely, because that's just more text. It's more content.
What do
Yeah.
you use to do that?
I don't, but I know there are plugins. There are auto transcribers, but they're, you know.
What do you use? I do it in the Philippines for about $2.
Yeah, the answer was she does it in the Philippines for $15 a piece. Is that what she said? $2 a piece. Oh, good
and
deal.
HTML5 will come in. Coming
Buy
in.
local.
I just went to Odessa and found me a Philippine writer.
Okay.
And tested his English and stuff and started sending me videos.
Wow. Isn't there someone? Who's doing the transcription company? Someone in our group is doing a Oh, maybe it was Lonely Gourmet. She was doing.
Does transcribe.
Probably more than $2 a video though. Okay.
Wow. So in your thoughts that you submitted to me earlier about your your contradictory philosophy,
Yes.
et cetera, you said,
Yeah.
okay, we probably, if we're not first, we can't dominate, but actually we can dominate if we have.
We can always be first.
we can always be first. What did you mean by that?
So this came out of a conversation I was going to have with a friend, or I had with a friend who does not cross stitch embroidery stuff. Maybe I don't know, something with needles and thread. And
I do it too all the time.
and she was considering doing like custom patterns, getting them printed and selling them because she likes to do the patterns. And she was kind of frustrated. She said, well, it's like so many people do that already. I'm like, well, that's true, but that doesn't really matter. You know, it's like, yeah, first to market, a big industry, it is valuable. saying it's important, but it's valuable. Google wasn't first to market, iPod wasn't first to market, and they did well. But we all know, for the most part, something new and cool first to market has an advantage. But I said, for one thing, that's too niche. Don't worry about it. There's room for more. And you do a real specific kind of craft and a real specific style of pattern, and you are first to market. You're not doing bunnies and children with big eyes. You're doing this particular thing, and there are people who like that particular thing, so you can be the expert in that area. And since your audience is global, you get to be first to market. You can make yourself be first to market in whatever you do. And you can brand yourself as an expert in that area.
Those long tail people.
It is. It's long tail, but it's almost like once you get onto that long tail, you can kind of ride it up. But there's got to be a better metaphor than that.
Are you talking about getting more head?
You're getting more. But one of my favorite success stories is a woman who did was my gardener, and she had a website that she had. Pretty sure it was Comic Sans, and yeah, and she did it herself, and that's fine. But she knew what I did. She's like, I really want to do more. I'm about to lose my business because it's so slow. I need to get online. So we started doing bartering. And I got her on Twitter, and she totally didn't get Twitter, but she said, okay, I trust you. I'm just going to do it anyway. And I set up a new site for her, and I did the logo and branding, and she's fortunately a very engaging, prolific writer. She was doing really well. And I gave her some really 101 Twitter stuff, I'm like, don't brag about how many followers you have. Send me a text and brag to me, but don't brag to Twitter. Don't ask Twitter for followers. Ask me, right? And just be just watch, observe. And she started doing that, and I'd get these texts saying, I got 3 followers today, and I was all excited. And then she tells me now, she goes, one day the light bulb went off when the Better Homes and Gardens editor started following her on Twitter. That was a year ago. She's now got 2 publishers. She's doing a book. She's been part of another book. She gets paid to write for 3 other gardening blogs, one for Home Depot, one for Better Homes and Gardens or something, and one for the HG Network. She gets press passes and is flown in to the big garden shows. She was invited to a symposium with some hotshot gardener. She's become... Well, Twitter and Facebook and blog. I mean, it's all that together. And she's in 1 year. And she's hot shit now. And that's it's hardly niche. She's developing a niche. Her niche is small space gardening. So balconies. So it's gardening, balconies in the South. Yeah. So she jumps into that. And part of it is she's got a great personality, and she's very engaging. But yeah, it was a year. And now she does her actual gardening about half time, although her business has doubled, and the rest of the time she's writing and going to conferences and being an expert. And she loves it. And getting paid, yeah. Pardon me?
I can tell you a ton of the same stories.
Yeah.
Just write. Write from your heart, write from your soul, write really good. And
Or well, even. Sorry. I warned everyone. I told you on my site, I'm a cocky bitch. It worked. But yeah, and I do have a few examples like that, and it's not like, oh, just do it, it's easy. It's a lot of it is common sense, but it takes a lot of strategizing up front to do it right. You don't sit down and throw it together. You do your information architecture, you do your wireframes, you figure this stuff out and set it up right, and then keep up with it, and it can be done. Joey?
Talk a little more about setting up your structure in advance.
Okay, talk a little more about setting up my structure in advance. So,
You're talking more than just the site structure.
I am.
You're talking about the strategy for getting
there's a process I go through, whether I'm setting up a relatively small blog, like the Blogathon blog, right? or a large blog, like I'm working on the Southwest School of Art blog, which is very complicated, well, it's pretty complicated. The first thing is, it sounds really basic, but it's like, who's your audience? Who, you know, your personas, if you will. Who's your audience? And what do they expect to find when they come to your site? So I set up, I call it users and goals. Who's the user? What do they expect to find when they come there? And what's the call to, what do I want them to do when they get there? Do I want them to sign up for a newsletter? Do I want them to buy something? And I make a grid of that first. So it's like, so that's put aside then for reference. Then I start with information architecture, which is information architecture. Some people call it a sitemap. I'm sure there's other terms. Basically, it's like a flowchart. And if it's existing content, I'll actually print out, do a content audit or whatever, print out all that content, and I'll actually cut it into paragraphs and put it in piles that seem to go together. If it's not existing content, I come up with a list of content and put those in piles that belong together. But figure out, like, what are the logical places for various types of information to go. And when I build a site, every page has what I call one true home. It either lives in this category or this category, but there's no orphans. Every page, you can link to it from other places, but every page has one true home. And what I end up with in this flowchart eventually is sort of a, here's the stuff that's on the home page, and here's the stuff that appears on every page, and here's the stuff that appears on some page. And then the category, the areas of information become the top-level navigation. From there, I go through and we list out every page. From there, I take every page and I do a wireframe. And now we're not even talking about graphic design yet. I do a wireframe. This page is going to contain this information. It's going to have a video. It's going to have an email newsletter sign up. It's going to have a link to the Flickr stream. It's, you know, what information goes on every page. And I have a special category of pages that I call landing pages. And this goes back to what we were talking about with categories. A landing page, the way I define it, is a page that someone might get to without never having seen your homepage. So if you've got some hot piece of content that people are tweeting about, a lot of new people are going to come right there, and they've never seen your homepage. So what, you know, you don't want to make every page look like a homepage, but what's the important pieces of information that need to be on that page so you're not totally confusing the person who's visiting it. So I figure all that out. I get the wireframes done, and I do wireframes that almost look like Comic Sans. They're very sketchy. They're not meant to be high fidelity. That you can actually click through and say, how does this work? Well, and you can test it. You can just have someone say, hey, Fernando, see if you can find the ceramics, the wheel throwing class at Southwest School of Art. And if you can, great. If you can't, then we have a problem. You know, then we make it look pretty. Graphic design is the last piece. Last piece I do.
No, that's
So what-
good. I don't want to do any of that.
But that's the process I do. And going through that process, you end up with, it's like, oh, there's my category pages. Now what's the right keyword for it? So you end up with a good URL structure that will allow you to do really good SEO.
I hope you guys take notes, because that's $5,000 consulting.
So, what you're doing is you're maximizing your SEO in all areas.
Absolutely.
Well, and there's,
And it's congruent.
you guys know about Google Wonder Wheel?
Yes.
Nope.
Okay, have you used it?
I don't know
So
about it.
That's
Google Wonder Wheel?
yes.
Oh.
So you have to turn it on. If you Google Wonder Wheel, Google will tell you how to turn on the Wonder Wheel, and then so like you put in Weight Watchers, it'll make a wheel with all the hottest topics of all the highest ranked SEO searches for each of the terms. Make a damn page for each one of those, or a post that talks about each one of those, and you're gonna get traffic.
Wow. Is that
Google will tell you what it wants to see.
right? I will be looking at that this
It
afternoon.
uses latent semantic indexing based on traffic.
Traffic.
So it doesn't show you every single term
No.
that's getting traffic, it shows you the top terms.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter, all the data behind the scenes, you can forget about it, because if it's on that page,
Right.
it's getting traffic.
That's awesome.
Yep. It's
And
awesome.
because it's using LSI, you know that it's gonna have, latent semantic indexing. It means that it's laterally connected or relevant to each other. So it's another great thing to add.
Right. Right.
So they're related to one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like for instance, if I was to do a Google Wonder Wheel on SEO and I saw SEO training, right, and I do SEO training or something, well then those two are connected, meaning that I know that they have a relevancy and I would want to connect in my SEO strategy back and forth in this content.
Right.
But things that are very surprising will come out. So Jen Wojcik and I created a site for the 2012 disaster, moon landing, whatever the fuck's supposed to happen in 2012.
Oh, the end of the Mayan end of the world thing.
Mayan,
Okay.
whatever. And we type that into the Google wheel. We're like, oh my god, look at all this crazy stuff that's coming up. And that's what people are searching for in 2012. Like, I would never have thought to create content about that.
Right. Awesome. And that, you brought up, or you made me think of something that I want to bring up to everyone here and that's tagging. It's one thing to do tagging on YouTube. It's important to, there are places out there it's good to tag. Flickr, things like that. But tags, just regular old tags, not meta tags, but tags on your website. You see some people have a post and there'll be like a paragraph of tags. Every tag that you add to a post, a page is created. So that, if I do a post on mozzarella pizza and I, decide to put brick oven as a tag, I suddenly have a brick oven page. And you get site bloat. Huge. There are site bloat. One of the things you do in SEO is you create a sitemap. You go to Google's Web Tools or Webmaster Tools, you create a sitemap, and what you're telling Google is, let me help you more efficiently crawl my site to see what content I have. Well, if you've got 1 million tags, bloat is bad. They're not useful pages, and it's real easy for a spider, for the search engines to just go off on some wild ass tangent and end up, it's like you don't need that stuff indexed. It's not helpful.
Tag purge.
You do.
To do the tag purge, can you just go in your tag?
Well, you can, but yeah. Be careful though, because it depends on how much traffic you have. Honestly, most of the tags people use are pretty useless. I'm using a strategy for my tagging too. I hope this is a good strategy. Someday I want my site I want you to be able to search my recipes by dinner, but with this ingredient and that ingredient, etc. Right? A much more rich search. I'm not ready to do that yet. But so I tag every significant ingredient, not salt and pepper, but like mozzarella, spinach, onions, things like that. I'll use those tags because someday I do want that to be part of a search.
You've done that.
I have.
We launched out random tags and they're useless and
Get rid of them.
we could just go into the
I don't know.
tag place and
I think so. Does it get rid of the pages if you do that, Tom? Do you know?
Well, if there are no more tags left.
Because it's a dynamically created page.
Yeah, so if there are no more things that are tagged with the tag, then it should go away.
It should go away. It's a good question. That's something worth looking in. Is like
Google
if you
might
remove
cache
tags,
those.
they might what?
Google might cache those pages though.
They could. Google might cache them. That's true. So I'm not sure. I mean, that's something that I will look at the answer of. I don't know.
What function actually creates the page? Is it WordPress that I mean, like, when you're
Yeah.
typing, WordPress creates the page?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, but it's not a page from the database. It's created when you arrive at the URL.
Right. When you click on a tag,
Right.
it goes there.
Generates it.
Right. But one thing would be to make sure, really check through Google Analytics, go way down, even to the things that only get 1 or 2 page views, and just make sure there's not some tag that people are using. If so, don't get rid of that one.
so you need to really, if you've done that, it's not significant at this point, but if I waited any longer, it would be.
I think you should do it as soon as you can. But like I said, I don't know. I can't be certain that those pages aren't cached somewhere. But yeah, because basically, as it turns out, unless you're being real strategic, doesn't help with SEO, and it just creates bloat.
Thank you for your clarity. I've heard a lot of different things and it's caused confusion and excess complication.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
Truth tells it like it is.
It always does. But this is very good.
I've also there's been controversy for a while as to whether or not meta tags matter. I don't think what I gather is they don't necessarily help, but they don't hurt. So I go ahead and make sure I put Weight Watchers, and I do a small amount of meta tagging. They don't hurt, but I don't know that they really help.
an example of like, I would love to see the back end of even just one page to look at what on the back end is good. Like I can't, not mine, because mine's bad.
I'm sorry you have a bad back end.
Well, not everyone thinks so. But do you know what I'm saying?
Like what is Google seeing and saying that's good and that's bad?
I would just like to see like the back end of that of your Weight Watchers page to see what you're doing. Like I think I'm in 101.
You can view the source, but I don't think that's what you're talking about. You want to go in and look at my? Well, I'll show you.
I can do because
I'll show you.
Because
I think you have a login actually.
Tell me that. I'll go in and mess things up. But
Well, a really good way to learn is there's a plugin for WordPress called SEO Presser or SEO
yeah.
Scribe. You plug it in and it'll install next to where you're writing. It'll start reminding you. Headline has too few keywords.
Oh, SEO Scribe.
What alt tags in, dumbass? It'll tell you.
And really, I bought. It's not free. It's a monthly.
No, it's expensive.
And I bought it and I used it for several months and I stopped because it's like I get it now.
I get it now. Yeah.
But it does. It was worth it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pair
SEO Scribe.
You have a keyword in it.
It's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it was $35 a month or something. It's worth it to do it for a couple months.
But there's another one
It's a
called
plugin. It's a plugin, and you pay monthly to use it, and you get X number of analyses each month, and you can use it on multiple sites because you get.
One that's not Scribe.
Yeah, SEO Presser.
Oh, Presser's the other one.
I think it's $99, but it's not a monthly thing.
Right. The SEO Scribe is the guy is Copy Blogger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's here in town.
He's what?
He's here in town.
I think he left move.
I don't think so.
I've already moved.
Yeah.
Too much traffic.
You can go to copyblogger.com and find Scribe, or I think.
Yeah. Or
SEO.
ScribeSEO.com, I think, is where it is. But yeah, that was really helpful, and I finally realized I wasn't bothered to use it anymore because it's like it got to be a habit. I mean, I got to be just what I do when I do no posts. Yeah. So, did you have a question? No.
Yeah, I'm always so impressed with your capacity to deal with patients with this kind of stuff, but then once it's done, it's awesome. Everything you touch is awesome.
Well, thank you. Ow.
But now you see what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like it's not rocket science, but it is like you have to be patient and do it right. And the other thing that I have to say that was the timing on this stuff was just so perfect. I've always used Evernote as like a web clipping thing, and it's like I knew I could use it for a lot more things than I was using it for. And I went to a Moby camp down in San Antonio, went to a panel where a guy was showing us how he uses it. It was like, and it was right when I was starting Queen of Points, and so I have documented. I've been using it as a to-do list, as a diary, as a clip. Maybe I'll adapt that recipe, all the stuff, and I've documented every single thing I have done to build Queen of Points. So I'm going to have this awesome case study of what worked and what didn't work. When I was like, oh, I did that wrong, I had to change that and use this plugin instead, and I've got the whole thing documented. So at some point I will publish it, in my spare time.
Sooner rather than later, please.
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth it to make a squidoo lens to point to your blog?
The Squidoo lens is the question, is it worth it? For a while, for the first couple of years, this is the Seth Godin's, it's kind of like an about.com, it's almost content farmy, but not. For the first year or two, there was lots of linking and they were showing up really high on the search results. But now, for me, it's borderline content farm. People are getting them just for that, so they're not just for SEO or just for links. They're not, I don't know that they're bad, but I don't know that a Squidoo lens at this point is going to be considered a really high quality link in.
I think maybe Google smarted up to that.
The what? Oh yeah, the Panda, the algorithm updates are really, I'd be curious to see how that affected Squidoo's ranking, because I paid attention to Squidoo for a couple of years and now I don't. I think there's better ways to get quality incoming links.
How do you recommend we measure the results from our SEO?
Well,
What we do, other than the obvious traffic, right?
Well, you know, I mean, if Brian were here, one of the things he does is there's doing A/B testing, right? And seeing, you know, even you can even do that with a headline. It doesn't have to be an ad or a graphic or anything. You do a headline like which one gets more clicks, and you A/B test it. But I mean, really, if it's not just the traffic, but you drill down a little further into Google Analytics, you see what keywords, what keywords are bringing people to your site.
That's exactly what I did. I did a site in Spanish, and I didn't even check to see what people were searching. I just kind of started off with that backward way. And then I went and started seeing what the few people that actually did come to me via Google, what search terms they did. So I started writing more articles with those terms in the bio, etc. And now I think more than half of my visits from Google.
The other thing I did is I installed a search meter plugin, and it tells me what people are searching on my site, not on Google. But they come to my site, they're wondering, is there anything? And everyone's always searching on dessert. And excuse me, can I get another Diet Coke? Thank you. And I'm not a dessert person, actually. I'm not a sweets person. So it's like, okay, I'll do a dessert, you know. But you know, people will tell you what they want to see, and even if you're not getting a lot of traffic, you'll often see trends. I've been seeing trends, and I'm not getting that much traffic yet, but it's like, well, 75% of the people who search on my site are looking for dessert, and so they have one recipe. And if anyone here, it's true. If anyone wants to write dessert recipes that are adapted for Weight Watchers, contact me. I've got a job for you. Because it's like, awesome. I'll link to your site. So that's a really helpful, that's a real easy, it's a free plugin. Great thing to do.
Links back to the site.
Yeah.
What strategies do you recommend that do not involve using farms?
Oh yeah. In fact, using farms will hurt you.
Right.
It'll hurt you. You get penalized for bad incoming links. Commenting on other blogs is always good. You know, especially the ones that let you put your URL in. I get a surprising amount of traffic from Eventbrite. When I register for Eventbrite events and I have my URL, people are checking everyone out. And you know, so even if you don't go, no, don't do that. So even if you don't go, there's another thing I do, and I haven't done this yet on Queen of Points, but I'm going to for sure. I did it on the Launchpad blog, which was, you know, I don't know if you guys remember when I was doing Launchpad co-working, but we were getting national press all over the place, and we never opened. Well, we never opened, but yeah. One of the things I did, and the Launchpad blog started in 2006, maybe. I interviewed other co-working spot owners, and when you interview other people, especially in your own industry, in theory competitors, they get really excited, and they send their friends and their family, look, I got interviewed, you know, and they link to it from their site. And I mean, we would at least once a week interview someone in the co-working world, and we were getting thousands of page views a day within a matter of a couple of months. Interviews are awesome. Contests actually don't have a very good track record, because people often think they're spammy, or they don't trust them, or they think you're just trying to get their email. But interviews bring you quality traffic.
So guest blogging would be.
Oh, guest blogging is awesome. Yeah, yeah. Or if you know someone with a, you know, I mean, you can't just go to Seth Godin and say, hey, will you write me a guest post? But if you know someone who's got a blog with a lot of traffic, ask them to write you a post, because you want to start building a name. You know.
It also gives you, I don't know, I feel that if you interview somebody from your competitors or your field, you know, like you said, there are always people who know more about the subject than you do, so you kind of plugging into their knowledge and offering it to you.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah, and for the people who are interested in doing that, you end up with a really nice community of people who may on some level may be competitors, but it's a very friendly.
But you also project yourself as being friendly, open, and
Yeah.
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 And when I said conscious, I mean what I did on my blog was I actually went out and ranked the top 10 websites in a certain category in Latin America, and
Mhm.
I did my top 10, whatever, and everybody loved it. And they
Oh yeah,
loved it.
top
They
lists.
said, "Oh, I made Fernando's third on Fernando's top 10."
Awesome. Top 10 numbered lists of things are great link bait. You know.
People will, pull where the links
Yeah.
are and
Dig them and Reddit them and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
I would like to, since you mentioned your Spanish website, I'm originally from Poland, and I would like to have my website in Poland. So I would
In
like to
Poland or in
develop-
Polish?
In Polish.
Okay.
Develop it into languages.
Yeah.
Would you start from doing it immediately, or you would do it in English and then translate it, or what?
It depends on your audience. If you feel like you have a huge potential following in Poland, you might want to start there. But I'm guessing your potential audience is probably bigger with English, and then do a translation to Polish. Yeah.
There's always
Yeah.
a niche factor, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But anything in English is going to be more accessible to most of the Western world
Absolutely.
than any other. And I would think, and Polish is a small enough.
Poland is only 30 million people,
Yeah.
so it's not the state of Texas. Actually.
But I would also think that if you can offer the translation in Polish on the site, that's a real. I mean, probably not a whole lot of people do that, so that you could get a really
Yeah.
loyal following that way too. But I would start with English, yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
I know I'm gonna ask something when I walk out.
Oh, yes. Hi.
For the late comer who couldn't make it earlier,
Uh huh.
where is this going to be?
Where is this going to be?
You're having videotapes and showing us everything.
Oh,
I'm gonna have it on mine on Ustream, and then yours gonna have.
I'll probably put it on my Jules Says blog, julessays.com.
Awesome.
I want to give a plug to Blogathon. This woman right here, Eileen, started maybe a year ago now, a year and a half ago, said, hey, how about if a bunch of us get together and blog less than a year and blog for all day Saturday. And it turned into an event that sold out in a matter of hours or a day or something. It was free, but still it sold out. And it was really fun and really awesome. And then we had another one that I think was $10 or something, and it sold out. And it was really fun and really awesome, and now it's growing. And we've moved from Conjunction to, it's going to be at Link Co-working, the next blogathon. It's going to be all day Saturday on October 1st. Tickets go on sale in a week, July 1st. It's $45, $50. We're
40 for July.
40. The early bird is $40. It gets you a shirt, or not?
Lunch and dinner. Yep.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner,
Adult
and happy hour. Adult beverages. There's room where you can just sit and head down blog. There's an area where we'll have roundtable discussions. There's a tech room where you can get beginning, intermediate, advanced help with your blog. There's going to be other specialty rooms. I'll probably be doing some site analysis stuff.
It's like a
All day.
workshop.
It's all those things I mentioned.
Workshop networking.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Blogging,
Yeah, it's really fun.
music too, live music.
Well, I'm not sure we're going to do that this time.
Yeah.
But we're going to.
We'll see. But we will, and we'll be making a lot of noise about it July 1st. July 1st, we launch the website and the tickets go on sale. So we'd love to have all of you there.
Outside, she has music groups that come there. So for the
Really?
party
We've just
after.
never had
Yeah.
the music because it's such a long event
Yeah.
that people want to just have a drink at the end, and it's not like they want to start another event. So it's a happy hour, but it's mellow. It's drinks and eats and conversation and talking about what you've learned through the day. So it doesn't always work well with the music.
I think it would be nice to have.
Oh yeah,
Are you
coffee.
kidding? That's the most important part of the day.
I think it would be nice to have an event in Austin.
Not on me.
Yeah, Tom just said it would be nice to have an event in Austin without another fucking musician playing in the background. But it, yeah, but they've really been fun. We've all, beginners, intermediates, and expert alike. We've all learned stuff at it, made new and great friends. It's really fun.
Are
So.
you looking for sponsors?
Yes, we are.
So any kind of sponsor, right? Even
Well,
including
no.
drink sponsors.
Let's not have that conversation right now.
That's a bigger
It's much,
conversation.
yeah, it's a bigger. We are,
Yeah,
but it's a
we
bigger
have
conversation.
sponsor. If people are interested in sponsoring, they should contact me, and I will point them in the right direction.
And they can
Right.
find out about that on the co-working site or?
Not yet.
Follow us on Twitter. We're going to be announcing it like crazy on July 1st.
Julie Gomoll.
I'll put cards up.
Logathon ATX, and I'm Eileen Weenie if you want to follow me.
And I'm Julie Gomoll.
One M and
the-
two L's. Two L's.
Yes, Gomoll. The other thing is every Wednesday we meet here for a jelly, which is a casual co-working thing, 11 a.m. to 2. Basically, it's a bunch of us who work for ourselves, work independently, and every Wednesday we come here to work not as independently and get some human contact. So it's really nice.
We work?
Well, sometimes we work. Honestly, sometimes they're social. Sometimes we get a lot of work done. Sometimes it's like everyone has come with a question, and almost always we find someone who can answer it. It's really nice. It's a nice little community.
They do that here?
Every Wednesday, 11 in this room. They're awesome. They're really good to us here. Tip them well.
Yes,
They're really good to us. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Oh, and my camera even lasted. The battery on these things sucks. Oh, it did, but it's